Today I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming Sony FX5 that there has been tons of rumors going on for the past week, and it is expected to be released in 1 or 2 weeks or something like that. And I want to talk about why I am excited about that camera, why I'm not excited about that camera. As a business owner who uses the Sony FX3 as my main A-cam as of this moment, why have I not upgraded to the Sony FX6? And why am I excited about the FX5 like coming in as a sort of middle ground camera between those two powerhouses that has actually been powerhouses for the past 4 or 5 years in the industry? At the same time, at the price point of what is it expected to be around 5,000–6,000 euros, it is a bit of a hefty price for something that Canon and Panasonic already has done with their newest cameras, like the Canon C50 or C80, for example. They have most of those specs that the Sony FX5 is rumored to have at a bit of a better price point and everything like that. I'm not super excited about all the specs, but I am excited about some functions that I feel like the FX3 could benefit from. And it's not like these huge industry leaping forward things, but just micro adjustments that would make my life easier. And those things for me are more important than like 32-bit float audio or OpenGate, for example. But I'll come back to OpenGate because there's one specific reason that I really like that feature for my clients. So it's going to be exciting if those rumors are true. The 3 most exciting things that I'm looking forward about in the upcoming Sony FX6 is number 1, a bigger 3.5-inch tiltable screen. Because now on the FX3, this screen, it is not, you can just flip it out and then you can just do like that. You can't really, like the Sony A7R5, for example, that we've been using this past week. It has like this mechanism that you can just drag out the whole screen and tilt it up and tilt it downwards and at the same time flip it, like a 360-degree thing or whatever. But also the fact that this screen is tiny. Like, I hesitate when I just have to use this screen for professional work. I really want to use my 5-inch monitor because otherwise I can't see anything. But the fact that they will be removing this dial and just expand the screen, that would be super helpful. Apart from a little bit bigger screen size that makes me able to use it on professional shoots without an external monitor, the second thing that I'm excited about is triple base ISO, and that has been something that exists for a while now in other camera brands, so I'm excited to see if Sony will put that into use in the Sony FX5. On the FX3, it is a low light king for sure. You have the base ISO of, 800 and 12,800. A lot of the times when I'm out working with clients in like these kinds of corporate scenarios or like just a bit dull lights, they're too bright for 12,800 ISO and they're too like dark for using ISO 800. And so often I find myself that I want to be somewhere in between at like 3200 or maybe 4000 ISO in most of these indoor shoots that I'm doing. And the only solution that I have then is that I need to bring my ND filter, screw it on and use it at like a pretty hefty reduction in light, like 3 or 4 stops or something like that. And it would just be so much easier to handle if I could have a middle base ISO so that I'm not like desperate to use a ND filter. Having that middle ground would be super useful in indoor environments, because a lot of the times you want more than 800, and then 12,800 is a bit of a push because then everything is super bright. So yeah, triple base ISO would be super useful to have on production shoots when I need to be flexible and run and gunning and stuff like that. Or events, for example. That would be huge. And the third most important one is, of course, the so hefty debated open gate. It is not super revolutionary. There are better cameras out there that are doing like, 6K open gate or other form factors. I don't have any numbers in my head now, but I am excited about the open gate feature in my workflow. But why? Most of my shoots, I want to know exactly what format I am choosing. So if we are doing a commercial in 16:9, I plan for 16:9. I don't care about 9:16. So that is my workflow most of the time. But since 1 year, my biggest retainer client as of today, we have been filming a lot of interviews with students at their events, at their different places, or like different competitions, and filming slow motions about some specific things. Extremely big variety of like B-roll clips together with those interviews. But as of like planning the shoots and offering like the budgets and stuff, we have also implemented the cue that this material could be used for future projects as well, or productions, or like social media clips in the future. They want a bank of video clips. Legit, right? You're hiring someone to go there and film, and you want to make sure that, we can use this in the future as well. We might not know exactly what we want to capture right now, but maybe in a year that thing needs to be told in a different way. Having that feature of like filming at an event or something for them, we don't know if we're going to use that material in the future, but sometimes it can be horizontal, sometimes it can be vertical for social media. And I don't know that right now when I'm out filming for them. And so what I've been doing most recently is that I've had like 2 white lines, guidelines saying this is 9:16. And so I've tried somewhat to feel like the face is not outside of that perimeter, so I can use that for social media use. But to just have a little bit more real estate on the vertical, I'll still be shooting handheld 16:9. I'm not gonna do this for specific shots. But just being able to have a little bit more flexibility when gathering footage for a client that they might want to use in the future for a different type of format than what we were planning to film. Yeah, then I'm gonna use that. If we have that in the agreement that we want to maybe use this footage in the future for something else. That's where OpenGate is good, I guess. Okay, so running back to the current FX3 that I have, some strengths that I like about the FX3 is the IBIS, in-body image stabilization. All of my lenses doesn't have optical steady shot, so that the lenses themselves don't stabilize the footage. Of course, I can go into Sony Catalysts and stabilize all the footage in post, but having in-body stabilization on this camera has been really time-saving and really effective for me. Some people talk about like yellow effect from the sensor being stabilized. I have not noticed that at all, and I don't work on those 7-figure projects, so it's not a big deal for me. So IBIS also, like, as I've said, it's compact, easy to travel with. One thing is that this one can film and export in MP4 files and Cineto. Super easy files when I'm out shooting at an event or something like that, and the client says, if you can just gather the footage and then we will take care of the post-production in-house. And I said, do you want colored or like grade log footage? And they said, we want the colored. And do you want it to be like processed or just simple to use? Simple to use, yeah. MP4. good. Then they can just, if there's a short clip that they just want to upload immediately to social media, they can just use that. In the FX6, on the other hand, that I don't have, you can only record in XMF files, I guess they're called, and those are not as easy to just pull and push up to the cloud. So for certain people, they appreciate having that kind of file, like Cinetone with an MP4 embedded file. Easy to use, just straight onto the internet. But at the same time, the FX3, yeah, what I don't like about it is the smaller screen that you can't rotate. The ergonomics of this camera is a little bit better than their A7 lineup, which is for photos, but it still feels like a little bit too compromised for the photo boxy vibe with like this style that I always get in touch with when I don't want to get in touch with it. It could be a little bit boxier with some more buttons on the sides. That would be great. And I think that the FX5 will have that. And that's one of the main reasons I like the FX6, because it's so like ergonomically good for filming. You know, all of your buttons, they have dedicated spaces on the camera itself. You don't have to program different modes to have all of the shortcuts that I need to do on this one. And of course, in the FX6, you have the internal ND filters. I don't know if the Sony FX5 will have internal ND filters. I guess probably not because of the size it's gonna have, but I have also invested in a pretty good set of variable ND filters that are like pretty good. So that I'm not super worried about. The biggest reasons why I haven't invested in the FX6 yet, and why I'm more looking forward to the FX5. The FX6, it doesn't have IBIS. It doesn't stabilize the footage in the camera house itself. And most of the lenses that I have, they do not have optical steady shot. So all the footage will come up very, very shaky, and I will need to process it in post for every single clip. Because I don't use the gimbal that much, I like the more handheld feeling of it, but it's gonna be too shaky for me. I want that feature to be able to switch on or switch off. So that was a little bit of a rant about different types of things that I appreciate with my current FX3 and some things that I miss in it. Some reasons why I like the FX6 and why I don't like it. And what I hope the middle ground FX5 will solve for me as a business owner. So if the FX5 solves monitoring ergonomics and gives me a useful middle base ISO, keeping IBIS, simple client-friendly recordings, then it might be one of the first camera upgrades that actually makes business sense for me. But if it loses the things that make the FX3 practical, then it might just be a very exciting camera for someone else than me. Maybe someone in the comments will ask me like, why haven't you just switched to the Canon C50 yet and start over there? Because they have already sold this stuff. I am too invested in the Sony lenses, and the C50, it doesn't have IBIS. There are arguments against and for that, but the conclusion somewhere is, will that camera make me more money as a business? And the answer to the FX5 is yes. The Canon C50, or like the Panasonic SR one, I'm not sure what the name of that, or more of a question mark, because then it means that I need to reinvest in a lot of different types of things, and I'm not sure that will be as beneficial for me as a business. For someone else, that might be the perfect choice if you're already invested in that camera brand or haven't started investing that much yet. Maybe that could be a different experience for that person, but for me, who has been using the Sony workflow for like 5 years, my timelines, my workflow in post is optimized for S-Log3. I have my different LUTs or preparations for different clients and stuff, and switching to a completely different camera brand with different color science, it would take some time to adjust it's more easy for me to see that the FX5 will fit perfectly into my workflow, take the place as an A camera, and make the FX3 a B camera that should be stripped down to its core on a gimbal, for example. Perfect. But yeah, I have moved away from, like, when I invested in the FX3, it was mostly like, oh, this is an exciting camera, like, wow, and not thinking too much about it as a business, like, what are the actual benefits as a production company. But now it's like the hype, or like the different specs of like, wow, that has kind of like not been the case for the FX5 now. It's more looking at the numbers, looking at the tools that I get with that, and looking at who are my clients today and will they benefit from that camera. And that answer right now looks like to be a yes, and that's why I'm planning to invest in it. Not just look at all the hype, and more like, what do my clients actually need? Some of my clients, I can bring the A7 IV to a shoot, rigged up, and they couldn't care less because they know that the image will look good, and that's all that matters to them. Or like that the audio sounds clean. That's what is important to them. I've realized that, and that's also why I'm not looking at like the Sony Burano, which is a completely different perspective or a totally different budget. The FX5 is still within a sensible budget for me as a solo business owner and operator. So that was some of my thoughts about the FX5. I've most surely forgot to talk about some points about it, but if I come up with some other details, I will write them in the comment section, and I'll see you down in the comments. And we'll see, maybe I will invest in this before next year, or maybe it's something that I will invest in the beginning of next year, depending on how things go. But until then, I'm gonna rock my Sony FX3. It's still gonna be an amazing camera for what it does, even when it has a bigger brother in the future.